Today I'm rating Mariah's album, Me, I Am Mariah, the Elusive Chanteuse. Hey kids, Treacle here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm continuing my album rating series. There's just a couple of albums left to go now. Today it's the turn of Me, I Am Mariah, the Elusive Chanteuse. What a mouthful, what a wonderful, grandiose, over-the-top title. Only Mariah could come up with that. I mean, I thought The Emancipation of Mimi was a grand album title, but this is on a whole other level. She really outdid herself with that title. Can we give it a point just for that? Before I jump into my scoring system, a quick little bit of background. So we were due an album, I think in 2012, Mariah was talking about putting out an album. Of course, we had Triumphant as a standalone single. Maybe that was going to be the lead single from an album to follow. 2012 came and went, nothing. Then we had American Idol. Now, Beautiful was something Mariah was really excited about. That song came out to like a moderate amount of fanfare, but some good critical reception. Now, when American Idol was coming to a finish in May 2013, that's when Mariah dropped Beautiful with Miguel, and we were hoping to get an album shortly after that, but that didn't happen. We were still left waiting. I think it would have been the perfect time to drop the album off the back of American Idol, because we've had Mariah on our TV screens. Well, you have had Mariah on your TV screens in America, but the album didn't come. In fact, we didn't get an album in 2013 at all. What we did get was The Art of Letting Go in, I believe, November 2013, and even that was a messy moment. If you remember, it was a Facebook launch that it went up on Facebook first, and JD convinced Mariah this would be a good idea. They were trying something new, and you know, credit and points for that, whatever, but it didn't go well. Mariah realized that an engineer or someone had, you know, pushed the wrong button, I think is how she described it, and the incorrect version of the song was uploaded. So when she is doing some online Q&A or something, or like reading fans' comments and stuff, we're not listening to the exact same version as her. And you can find it on YouTube, the original version, the wrong version or whatever. But there's just there are some changes. There's a little bit of a difference in production, the background vocals, but it's not like a massive deal. But for Mariah, I mean, for your first listen, it's not a massive deal because the song is still essentially the same, but like the details, and we know how much time, love and effort Mariah puts into her music. So for her, it's a really big deal. So she was really annoyed, and quite rightly, that we were listening to the wrong version. Like they couldn't even get the premiere of the song sorted. Anyway, so that's November 2013. 2013 closes. We're now rolling around to May again before the album comes out. Oh, we did have You're Mine Eternal just before Valentine's Day, actually early 2014. But it's May 2014, I believe, that the album finally comes out, like a year after Beautiful. And Beautiful would have been a really good lead single and then go into the album. So we eventually get this album, and it's got a mouthful of a title, and that wasn't even the original title. The album was originally going to be called The Art of Letting Go, but the album artwork leaked and the title leaked. So then Mariah was like, I'm not finished with the album, I want to work on it some more, and now people know the title, I'm not sticking with that title. And then the song The Art of Letting Go wasn't even on the standard edition by the time the album comes out in May 2014. It's on the deluxe edition. So it was a really messy timeline getting through to the point of having the album, and by the time we had the album, I was just so damn grateful we had it. But yeah, it really was a bumpy ride getting from Memoirs to 2012, where Mariah sounds like she's ready to release a new album, and then getting through American Idol, that was a journey, and then 2013, and then yeah, pretty much halfway through 2014, and we finally got it. For me, the album is a bit of a mixed bag. I don't think that these delays and the false starts helped at all. So I know with some fans, it's not the most favorite album. A bit of an identity crisis this album suffers from, in my opinion. But anyway, there are points in the album that I do really love. So that being said, let's jump into the scoring system. So let's get started. I have my notes here with me so I don't forget anything. The first category is songs. You've got to give the songs on Me, I Am a score out of 10 just based on how much you enjoy them. So shout out to songs that I love, and I know it's a big favourite amongst the Lamley. Faded, it is definitely in my top 3 on the album. I also love Camouflage, and I do really love the fun disco vibe that she was giving us on You Don't Know What to Do. So those would be my top songs. There are songs that I'm not madly in love with. Money, I have to kind of be in the mood. Thirsty, do you know what? Thirsty has grown on me a little bit. It didn't hit me to begin with. I'm not a big fan of Supernatural. I feel that's controversial to say because it's the one with the kids, but it's just, I don't know. It's not my favorite. I'm really happy she did One More Try, but I think it's a little bit overproduced. I'm not like in love with the vocal. I don't know. So I'm a bit back and forth, but overall I'm giving the songs on this album 7 because there are ones that I think are just really beautiful and honest, like Cry, Faded, Camouflage. That's what I want from Mariah, especially Mariah at this point in her life. Just write us an honest song and give us an honest vocal, and that's just delicious. The next category is lyrics. So taking the vocals away, taking the melody away, just leaving yourself with the lyrics, reading through, what would you give the lyrics on the songs of this album out of 10? Now in this album, Mariah is being really, really honest with us. I mean, Cry as an album opener is not your typical opening song for Mariah at all. And she really is being honest. We have got not just Cry, Faded is reflecting what's going on in her life, Camouflage and taking the deluxe edition, The Art of Letting Go. I mean, coming from Memoirs when she is all loved up with Nick and, you know, the impossible, and you rescued my love and like kind of given up. And now, you know, she is struggling with memories of her being pregnant and him not always being like there to support her. It's like some people's, you know, take on certain situations because she was kind of bed bound and housebound, and maybe Nick wasn't as supportive or she as much as she felt. And then after the kids were born, I don't know, I just feel like, I don't know the ins and outs, of course, of what went on between them, but certainly cracks did appear and things ultimately fell apart, and Mariah has got her feelings about what happened between them. And there is part of the story there in the lyrics. So I feel like, you know, kudos and points to her for being so open and raw. So I feel like part of this album's weakness is it isn't an offering of commercial songs. It's just her having like an emotional release. And I think when you look into the lyrics, you do get that. So despite this not being a fan favorite, and in my opinion, not one of her strongest overall albums, I am going to give the lyrics 8.5 because I feel like that is a strength in this album. Mariah really is using, I feel, her creativity and her songwriting as her emotional outlet. And I think this point in her life, she probably just needed this album as much as we felt we needed to hear new music from her. Next up, we have vocals. Give the vocals on Me, I Am a score out of 10. There are moments that I really do love. I love everything she does on Faded. I mean, everything, lyrically, vocally, of course. But it's the emotional realness that we get. Like I say, on Cry, I come back to that again because that really is Mariah just pouring herself into it. Camouflage as well. And there are moments, although I said I think it's a bit overproduced, One More Try, particularly at the end. I mean, how can that not tug at your heartstrings? So, I'm going to give it 7 because she is being real, but I feel like the vocals are not as raw all the time as the lyrics. I do think that the album is a little bit overproduced in places, and I kind of wish we had more of a naked, raw vocal so that that vocal performance would match up with the lyrics a bit more. Like, you can tell she's going through it, and I'm like, just give it to me, unfiltered. I don't care about perfection on this album. You've got stuff you need to get off your chest, you know, things that, you know, in your heart you want to say and you want to say. I don't care for like the 15th take or the 10th take or the 20th take or whatever for it to be perfect. Just, you know, like Sunflowers on Charm Bracelet, like it's not always perfect and there's one little bit where her voice cracks, but that makes it all the more beautiful. I feel like she could have leaned into the message of the songs and given us like a really, really hearty, raw vocal on some songs. But 7. 7 is still a really good score. Cohesion, how well the album gels together, the track listing, the sequencing, is everything in the right order? Does it work as a full album? Do you enjoy playing it from start to bottom? And this is where the album kind of falls down a little bit for me. As I said earlier, it's an album that I feel has a little bit of an identity crisis. It can't quite make up its mind what it needs to be, and I feel like there were clearly different songs along the process. Mariah was working on this, I feel, from 2012, and we didn't get it till 2014, and that's not an issue. She's, you know, spent 2, 3, 4 years on an album before, But I feel like things were changing so fast in her personal and professional life that I feel like it's not like a snapshot of where she is. It's kind of like at the end, by the end of the process, we know where she's at personally, but there are songs that she was making along the way, and I guess she's kind of like picking the ones that she wants to put together. It's just a really mixed bag for me, is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, Unity, I'm giving it 6. I love the fact that we do have a lot of raw ballads and personal moments, and it is interspersed with her playing with a little bit of, you know, disco influences here and there. But overall, I will lean into this album and take the songs that I like to listen to, or I'll take them and like adopt them and put them on a different playlist. It's not really an album that I will go top to bottom all the way through. No, not often. And the final category is longevity. What is the lasting impact of this album on Mariah's career? This is probably the weakest category for me when it comes to this album. I don't think that this album really has had a lasting impact on Mariah's career. I actually think the album title is more famous than the music, because it got picked up by the press. It still gets quoted. Mariah gets referred to as the Elusive Chanteuse. I feel like in America more than here, but it's certainly something that I have heard thrown around. But if you ask someone why are you referring to Mariah as that, they'll say, oh, because didn't she name her album that? And then you can say, yeah, now can you name me a song from that album? They probably won't be able to. This is outside the Lamley, not within the Lamley. So I don't feel that that speaks very well for an album when the title is more famous than the music. Having said that, it is something that I did hold dear to my heart at the time, because it felt like, oh my gosh, she's gone through a lot. She's been really honest with us and sharing it with us. And looking back, I think it's something that she needed just to kind of, you know, get off her chest, and, you know, it was an emotional outlet for her. So I do have big respect for it. It is an album that, although it's not going to necessarily sit very high up on my album rating chart, I do really love this album. I just feel like it was mishandled in terms of promotion. It had unfortunate false starts and delays, and she had problems going on with her personal life and splitting up with Nick and things. So it didn't put her in a position really to deliver like a consistent era, maybe. So it does feel like a weak era. So I'm going to give longevity just 5. I can't give anything less than that. That just feels too mean. I feel like it's an important step in her career. Certainly she went through a lot in her personal life, and I'm really grateful we have the album. I just think, you know, we can't point to the album and count all the hits and count all the sales, and it's not one of my favorite eras. Adding all of that up, that gives Me, I Am Mariah, the Elusive Chanteuse, a total score of 33.5, which does place it close to the bottom of my leaderboard. But like I said, I think this album just had a few things stacked up against it. I feel like it's not all about the music. I think it's the circumstances, the delay to the album, the fact that it's just like a more personal album. It wasn't able to offer a lot of commercial moments. So yeah, on some of my scoring criteria, it falls down a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with this album. Some albums have got to be near the bottom, and it's just my personal opinion. It's no hate on the album at all. I actually do really love this album, but when I go through the scoring system, it is what it is, 33.5. Before we wrap up, there are 2 more things to do, and I invite you to join in with me here. We're going to pick a song to repeat and a song to skip. So first up, repeat. For me, it comes down to 2 choices. It's Faded and Camouflage. I did consider Heavenly. I do love that. And also One More Try, but those 2 songs are a little bit overproduced for me. I'm not madly in love with everything about the vocal. So Faded and Camouflage. And in my gut, I know it's Camouflage. I listen to Camouflage more than Faded. It just pips it by a little bit. When the album first came out, and listen to the album a lot right now again in 2021, I still lean into Camouflage a little bit more. So that would be my repeat. Next up, a skip. If you had to skip one song on the album, and this is just for fun, what would it be? Now, contenders for me, if I'm looking at the track listing here in front of me, to remind myself, I'm nominating Dedicated, because it comes straight after Faded, and it's just not as strong for me. And it's in between Faded and Beautiful, so it's in a tough spot there. Make It Look Good, maybe. I do quite like Money, but I know what it is. I feel really mean, but it's Supernatural. I listen to it if I am listening to the album in full, which is a rarity. It's just not for me. I'm glad the song exists. I think it's super sweet, super adorable, and you feel the love you know, between her and the kids. I get that. I love that for her. I'm very happy for her. But as a song, it's just not to my personal taste. So please don't hate on me, but I am going to skip Supernatural. How about you guys? What would you pick as your repeat and what would you pick as your skip? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow me on social media. If you're into Instagram and Twitter, I am Treacle Tots on both of those. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, thanks a lot.